The day my father passed away, my sister Vanessa walked into the room wearing white. Not the kind of white people wear for mourning. The kind people wear when they think they've already won. My name is Aaron Anderson. I'm 34 years old, and that morning I was standing inside a lawyer's office in Atlanta, watching my sister sit comfortably like the whole place already belonged to her. She had flown in from Miami the night before. What bothered me was that she had booked that flight before our father even died. I knew because she once logged into the family iPad and forgot to sign out. The flight confirmation popped up there. My father, Kenneth Anderson, died on a Tuesday morning. Pancreatic cancer. From the day we found out to the day we buried him, it only took 6 painful weeks. During those weeks, I was there every single day. Every doctor appointment, every medication adjustment, every late night when he couldn't sleep and needed someone to sit beside him. Sometimes at 3 in the morning, he would grab my hand and whisper weakly, "Aaron, I see what you're doing. I see you, son." Vanessa came to see him only twice. Just twice. Now we were sitting in the office of Mr. Harold Camarthy, the lawyer handling my father's estate. Vanessa leaned forward eagerly as if she was waiting for a prize to be handed to her. The lawyer cleared his throat and opened the folder containing the will. To my daughter, Vanessa Anderson Thornton. I leave the family home on Briarwood Lane, the 2021 Mercedes-Benz, and the savings account currently valued at $212,000. Vanessa didn't react with surprise. She simply pulled out her Chanel lipstick and began fixing her makeup. My chest tightened. Then the lawyer continued. To my son, Aaron Anderson, I leave storage unit 14B located at Sunstate Storage on DK Road. The room went quiet. Then Vanessa let out a quiet laugh. A storage unit? She whispered, smiling down at her nails. Daddy always did have a soft spot for lost causes. I didn't say anything, but something deep in my stomach shifted in that moment. Something quiet. Something certain. Because if you knew my father like I did, you would know he never did anything without a reason. Before you understand what happened next, you need to understand something about my sister Vanessa. Growing up in our house, favoritism wasn't subtle. It was obvious. Our mother, Evelyn Anderson, passed away when I was 11 and Vanessa was 9. After that, my father poured nearly all of his attention into her. Vanessa became his princess. She got dance lessons, private school, and a used car when she turned 16. I was the responsible one, which really just meant I was expected to figure life out on my own. At 14, I started working at Mr. Patterson's hardware store. When it was time to apply for college, I paid my own application fees. I earned a partial scholarship to Georgia State University and took student loans for the rest. When I graduated, I was carrying around $31,000 in debt. My father never offered to help. Meanwhile, Vanessa dropped out of 2 different colleges that he fully paid for. Eventually, she married a man named Derek Thornton. Derek drove a leased Porsche and talked like he was some kind of investment genius. Vanessa started promoting business opportunities with him that somehow always collapsed. When that whole situation fell apart, she moved back home. My father paid off her credit cards. $47,000. I know the exact amount because I saw the bank statements while helping him organize his finances during the cancer treatments. He never mentioned it to me, but here's the truth that hurt the most. I never expected equal treatment. All I ever wanted was acknowledgement. Just once I wanted to hear him say he noticed how hard I worked. The only time he said it was when he was already dying. But standing in the parking lot after the will reading, holding the key to that storage unit in my hand, I made a decision. I wasn't going to argue with Vanessa. I wasn't going to beg for fairness. I was going to open that storage unit, and whatever was inside, even if it was nothing but old furniture or boxes of junk, I would accept it. Because it was the last thing my father chose to leave me. What I didn't know at the time was that opening that door was about to change my life forever. 2 days after my father's funeral, I drove to Sunstate Storage. The place looked old and forgotten, like it had been standing there for decades. The metal doors were faded orange, and the fluorescent lights above them flickered constantly. Inside the small office, a woman named Cheryl sat behind the desk with a loud fan spinning beside her. I gave her the unit number, 14B. She typed something into the computer, then looked up at me with a strange expression. "Your account's already paid through 2031, she said. I blinked. What? Someone paid 8 years in advance, she explained. Cash. My chest tightened. My father must have done it. Cheryl pointed me toward the back row of units. Unit 14B was tucked in the far corner, almost hidden from view. The lock on it wasn't the cheap kind most storage places use. It was a heavy-duty security lock, the kind jewelers and gun stores install. I stood there for almost a minute just staring at it. Then I slid the key into the lock. It turned with a heavy metallic click. I pulled the metal door upward. The smell hit me first, dry air mixed with something metallic. Then my eyes adjusted to the dim light inside. Along the back wall were rows of large black duffel bags. 14 of them. They were stacked neatly from the floor almost to the ceiling. Each one had a strip of masking tape on it. And written on the tape, in my father's handwriting, were small labels. The same handwriting I had seen on birthday cards and grocery lists my entire life. My hand started shaking as I grabbed the zipper on the closest bag. Slowly, I pulled it open. Inside were stacks of $100 bills, neatly bundled, perfectly organized. For a moment, I couldn't move. Then my knees gave out, and I sat down on the cold concrete floor. I didn't count the money that day. I couldn't. I just sat there inside that storage unit for almost 2 hours, staring at those bags while traffic passed somewhere outside. At one point, Cheryl knocked on the door and asked if I needed water. I said yes. She brought me a bottle and didn't ask a single question. Under the first duffel bag, tucked carefully inside a sealed envelope, I found something else. A letter. My name was written on the front in bold handwriting. Aaron. I opened it slowly. The letter was 3 pages long. My father's handwriting became shakier toward the end, probably from the medication. But the message was clear. Aaron, by the time you read this, you already know what's in this room. There's $4 million here. It took me more than 20 years to build it quietly. Through real estate and investments, every dollar is legal and clean. I left Vanessa the house, the car, and the bank account because I know she'll spend it all quickly. But this money, I saved for you. Because you never asked me for anything. Because when I was sick, you stayed. When I couldn't feed myself anymore, you fed me without making me feel weak. Your sister will never understand that kind of loyalty. I'm sorry it took me this long to say the words I should have said years ago. I'm proud of you, Aaron. More proud than I ever knew how to show. I read that letter 4 times. Then I made 2 phone calls. The first call was to my cousin Eric. The second was to a lawyer. Because at that moment, I realized something important. That storage unit wasn't just an inheritance. It was my father's final decision. And I had a feeling my sister was not going to accept it quietly. That same evening, my cousin Eric arrived at the storage unit. Eric was 41 years old, drove a simple Honda Accord, and treated his CPA license like it was sacred. If there was anyone in my life who understood money and risk better than anyone else, it was him. He walked into the unit carrying 2 cups of coffee and a small flashlight, even though the lights above us were already working. When he saw the duffel bag stacked against the wall, he stopped mid-step. Aaron, he said slowly, be careful with this. I know, I replied quietly. Have you counted it yet? I shook my head. No, I couldn't. Eric placed the coffee down, pulled out a legal notepad, and sat on the concrete floor beside me. Then we start now. It took us almost 3 hours. Eric insisted we count every bundle twice. He wrote every number down carefully, his handwriting small and precise. When we finally finished, he tapped the pen against the paper and turned the notepad toward me. 4,127,400. I stared at the number for a long moment before letting out a slow breath. Do you think it's clean? Eric asked. Dad said it was, I answered. Real estate investments? Eric nodded thoughtfully. We'll verify everything, he said. Tax records, property sales, all of it. Then he looked at me very seriously. Aaron, listen carefully. Nobody can know about this yet. Not Vanessa. Especially not Vanessa. Eric leaned back against the wall. The moment she smells money, she's going to come after you with everything she has. And he was right. Because while we were sitting there counting the money, Vanessa had already started calling me. 7 missed calls in 3 days. I didn't answer any of them. The first few voicemails sounded almost sweet. Aaron, hey baby brother, just checking on you. Are you okay? The moment she said baby brother, I knew something was wrong. Vanessa only used that phrase when she wanted something. The 4th voicemail made her intentions clearer. I've been thinking, she said. There might be some sentimental things in that storage unit that belong to the whole family. Maybe we should go through it together. I played that message for Eric. He laughed. She's fishing, he said. She knows your father wasn't careless. By Friday, things escalated. Vanessa's husband Derek showed up outside my apartment building. He pressed the intercom and spoke calmly into the speaker. Hey Aaron, man, we just want to talk. Family stuff. I didn't answer. Instead, I watched him from my window. After a few minutes, he pulled out his phone and took a picture of my building. That was the moment I realized something important. This wasn't just curiosity. Vanessa was preparing for a fight. So that same afternoon, I made another call, this time to a lawyer named Renee Sanders. And meeting her was the decision that would change everything. The next day I met my new lawyer, Renee Sanders. Her office was small but organized. Certificates covered the walls, and the calm way she spoke made it clear she had handled complicated family disputes many times before. I explained everything to her. The will, the storage unit, the money, Vanessa and Derek showing up at my building. She listened carefully without interrupting. When I finished, she finally picked up her pen. "So let me confirm something," she said. "The will clearly gives you ownership of the storage unit?" "Yes." "No conditions? No shared access?" "None." She nodded slowly. "Then legally whatever is inside that unit belongs to you." I felt a small wave of relief. But then she leaned forward. "However, your sister will probably challenge the will." "On what grounds?" "Undue influence," she said calmly. "They'll claim your father wasn't mentally stable, and that you manipulated him during his illness." I shook my head. "That's not true." "I believe you," she replied. "But the courtroom isn't about belief. It's about evidence." She began listing things on a notepad. "We'll get a medical statement from your father's doctor, confirming his mental clarity. We'll document the financial records of the investments. And we'll secure statements from the storage facility proving your father set everything up long before he got sick." I stared at her. "You think they'll really try to fight this?" Renee gave me a look that answered everything. Families have destroyed each other over far less money than this. 3 weeks later, the legal papers arrived. Vanessa and Derek were officially contesting the will. Their claim said my father was not mentally capable of making decisions during his illness and that I had manipulated him while acting as his caretaker. Reading those words made my hands shake. They had turned the months I spent caring for my father into an accusation. But Renee was ready. She gathered evidence quickly. My father's oncologist provided a written statement confirming that his mind remained sharp throughout his illness. Eric organized the financial records showing the real estate investments that created the money. And the storage facility even had security footage of my father visiting the unit months before he was ever diagnosed with cancer. All of it proved the same thing. My father had planned everything carefully. The court hearing happened on a Thursday morning. Vanessa arrived dressed in black, sitting beside Derek and their expensive lawyer. Renee stood calmly at my side with only a thin folder of documents. Their lawyer argued first. He tried to paint a story where I had isolated my father during his final months and pressured him into changing the will. Vanessa even wiped tears from her eyes during parts of his speech. Then Renee stood up. She presented the doctor's statement, the financial records, the storage facility documents, and finally, the security footage showing my father carrying duffel bags into the storage unit long before he was sick. The judge listened quietly to everything. After several minutes, she removed her glasses and looked directly at Vanessa. "The will stands exactly as written," she said firmly. "The motion to contest is denied." Just like that, it was over. Vanessa looked shocked. Derek whispered something to her, but there was nothing they could do. The decision was final. Within a few months, Vanessa sold the family house and the Mercedes. According to my cousins, the money disappeared quickly, just like my father predicted. As for me, I spent months working with Eric to manage the money properly. Some of it went into investments, some into a trust, and a portion funded a small foundation in my father's name to support young entrepreneurs in our community. But the most valuable thing my father left me wasn't the money. It was the letter. The last line of that letter still hangs framed on the wall in my office. "I'm proud of you, Aaron. For most of my life, that was all I ever wanted to hear. And somehow, my father made sure I heard it in the end."